If time travel was possible, I would go into the future, and I would try to go into the future far enough where I could sit with a member of my family 3 generations from now. Because what I want to know is if I'm doing a good job now.
Yeah.
Like, am I being the father I want to be? Am I teaching the lessons I want to teach? Am I instilling a culture in my children that they will perpetuate with their children?
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk to my son when he's 40 years old. I would love it. But who I really want to talk to is my son's son when he's 25 years old, and understand, like, hey, tell me about your grandpa.
Yeah.
Because that's going to tell me about the impact I made as a father.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating, unique answer, and also highlights how sad it is how few people know anything about their great-grandparents. You know, like, most people don't know their names, what they did, where they're from, where they grew up, if they had siblings, you know, and to me that's kind of sad, you know, that unfortunately the circle of life is such that even though most people, I think, are generally pretty proud of their heritages, wherever the fuck that's from, and celebrate it, some of it, I think, is people are fucking bored being Americans, and they're like, well, you know, my heritage is from fucking wherever, and so I'm going to wear this. You know, it's like, I'm going to wear a kilt now because my fucking grandpa, you know, was from Ireland or whatever. But
well, even on a more personal level, right? Like, I came from a broken family. My father was killed in a violent crime before I was born. I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. My grandmother had been through, I think, 2 divorces in her life. And my grandmother recently passed about a month and a half ago. She was,
I'm sorry.
I appreciate that. She was one of the loves of my life, raised me as a child. But the point is, even upon her deathbed, the legacy that she was really leaving behind isn't a legacy that she would be very proud to know is happening.
Yeah.
Infighting between her kids, you know, ostracization of her youngest against from the 3 oldest, you know, the family politics. And then even now, as the family and my cousins and I and my sisters and I are all thinking about getting together for the wake,
Yeah.
right? We're not excited for the wake
Yeah.
because we know what's going to happen. You know, Aunt A is going to argue with Aunt B, and Uncle C is going to get drunk, and there's going to be fighting about everything else. All of this when what Grandma would have actually wanted is for us to all just be like, hey, you know, let's rally behind the fact that this wonderful woman gave us everything she could give us to try to help us be better than she ever had. And we already know that's not how it's going to turn out. It'll start there.
Yeah.
Right? In the funeral home, it'll start there. But eventually the fucking Tecate is going to come out and we're going to go Mexican again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, if you think about, you know, the amount of people that are that influential, like the level of leadership, influence, and long game thinking you have to implore your entire life to set that stage to where your great-grandson knows who you are and is living a life based on how you lived, like, who the fuck falls into that category? Like, nobody.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even, I mean, Winston Churchill's great-grandson probably fucking, you know, watches porn and smokes weed. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd be hard-pressed to know of anybody that's that influential. But I think I do think that if everybody lived that way, our entire planet would be 10x better than it is if they thought of it in that regard. But do you have a favorite quote?
You know, it's retarded. I have my favorite quote is no shit from Yoda.
Yeah.
Right? Do or do not, there is no try. Is like, I don't know why, but that is a quote that has never left me.
Yeah.
And I wish I had some sort of cool academic Winston Churchill or, you know,
Paragraph.
Eisenhower quote or something.
Yeah.
I learned a bunch when I was in the military.
Yeah.
But the one that always comes to my mind in hardship and in success is like, you know, stop fucking talking about trying and hoping and aspiring and just do it or don't do it.
Yeah. No, I love it.